Happy Friday morning, everybody. As y'all coming in, put your locations in the comments. Locations in the comments. Give me your locations in the comments. Today, we're going to talk about team dynamics, understanding who you are in the within the fabric of an organization you're a part of, and understanding your position, playing your role. We're going to talk about Mr. Shedeur Sanders and what's actually happening in this situation here. This is an NFL situation, but it's bigger than just sports. And I'll explain exactly what I mean by that as we get into this topic here today. So as y'all are coming in, give me your locations in the comments. All of you are going to get it once we get into it. Let me make sure we're good everywhere. We are active on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. Live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Let me check that we are active on X. Yes, we are live on X. Good morning over there on X. We are live on LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. My name on all those platforms I just mentioned is at Dre All Day. That's LinkedIn, X, Rumble, and YouTube. We are live on Facebook, Work on Your Game University. We are live on Instagram, but Instagram is not showing me anything, so I don't know what's happening with Instagram. But technically, we're live on Instagram. And we are live on TikTok, and my Instagram name is at Dre Baldwin. TikTok is at Work on Your Game. So, hope everybody's having a great Friday. And it looks like we're working on Instagram. So, give me your locations in the comments. We will get started in 1 minute. Again, the topic here today is something happening in the NFL. Actually, nothing's happening, but then something's happening because nothing's happening. So, that's what makes this an interesting conversation. What we're going to talk about here today. Again, give me your locations in the comments. And let's get to it. 140.6 from Walnut Creek, California. Congrats on the first comment. Marky Man from Sacramento. Happiness Now from Atlanta. Real PK Arnold from Orlando. Good morning, Jennifer. Thank you for the gift early on. Checking in from Tennessee. Quail Riz from Lincoln, California, with no power due to incredible lightning. Well, at least you got data connection. So shout out to people who still have data even though they don't have power. Laura, Iggy Lover, checking in from Oklahoma. Dana from Chicago, Illinois. Chad, good morning. Mark Baptiste from Columbia. Chad from Jersey. What part of Jersey you in? Shout out to Jersey. Suponin. Good morning. Ben Gill says Shedeur's teammates love him. How do you know? Stardust, good morning from Orlando. Leah, for the heart me, thank you. Leah got level 12 member. Congrats. Michelle checking in from Philadelphia. Michelle, what part of Philadelphia you in? User 748 San Antonio's in the building. David Seabrooks, thanks for the follow. Laura, shout out to you for the gifter badge. TikTok from Alana. TikTok Tam Alana from Dallas. Good morning. Tim Rockwell from Cobbleskill, New York. New location, never heard of. Because I Can. Excellent morning, checking in from Kansas. Shout out to Kansas. Shout out to Garden City, Kansas. Is there a town called Garden City? I think that's where I've been a few cities in Kansas, but I think I remember a town called Garden City. Mark M said California doesn't have electricity because of Newsom. Okay. Carson said, is the Shedeur makeup rumors real? I don't know what the makeup rumors are, so I can't answer that question. And if it's a rumor, then how do you ever know? Michelle says South Philly. Shout out to South Philly. Shout out to South Street. Shout out to Society Hill. I had a job working in Society Hill. The last place I worked before I left Philadelphia was in Society Hill. So shout out to South Street. Shout out to, what is that? Is that Jim's Cheesesteaks on South Street? Shout out to South Street. Spent a lot of time there. Giga Dad, good morning to you. So the topic here today is Bella 112 PA checking in from Vancouver, Washington. Shout out to Vancouver, Washington. So the topic here today is the situation happening. User 684 said greetings from Jersey. You are listening to the content. Thank you. Michelle said Gino. Now Gino is way down Southfield. That's not on South Street. I'm talking about on South Street. On South Street, Michelle, I think it's Jim's, right there on 4th and South, I believe it's called Jim's. It's like a black exterior with it's like those, like a chalkboard, not chalkboard, but like squares. The black squares with the white in between. I don't know what you call that stuff. I think it's Jim's on 4th Street. Now, Geno's and Pat's are all the way down. You got to go further down into South Philly to get the Geno's and Pat's. Equation said, do I agree with ICE rounding up? Not the topic here today, so I can't address that. Nikki from Connecticut, good morning. Carson said supposedly he wore, I don't know about the makeup part. The mind part wasn't the makeup, Carson. The mind part was just his behavior. That's what we're going to talk about. But I don't know about anything with makeup. I doubt he had makeup on. I saw the video, but I didn't see any makeup. Serenity from Puyallup, Washington. Good morning. Yes, Jim's is on South Street. That's what I thought. Jim, shout out to Jim's. And there's another new cheesesteak place. Somebody was telling me about that. I forgot the name of it, but Checkers Board, yes. Chad said Jim's burned down a couple of years ago. Not sure if they are back. Is that true? I didn't know about that. I ain't been to South Street in a minute, so I got to go to Philly. I didn't go this summer, so I might go. I think it's getting a little bit too cold in Philly right now, so maybe next year. Maybe next year in Philadelphia. But anyway, topic here today is Shedeur Sanders, who was a fifth round. He's the son of NFL legend Deion Sanders. Deion was probably my first favorite athlete was Deion Sanders. Back in the days, he was prominent in the NFL in the 90s. Hall of Fame player, one of the best players ever at his position. He also played baseball where he was good, not amazing. He was mostly focused on football. He was the man in football in the Hall of Fame to this day, deservedly. Now, his son, Deion has, three sons, I believe. He has an oldest son who played a little bit of college football and now basically runs a media company that's based on basically putting out social media content for his dad and his brothers. His oldest son, who I believe is Deion Jr. Then he has two other sons. One of them is named Shiloh. He was a defensive back in college, and he got invited to training camp this year after finishing college or leaving college or finishing college. I believe he got cut in training camp. I don't think he's on the roster right now. Don't know if he's going to play in the NFL. And then his other son is Shedeur. I believe he's the youngest son. He's the one that everyone is looking at as if he's the star. He plays quarterback, and he did great at quarterback at Jackson State, where Deion was first coaching in college. And then they went over to Colorado. He played at Colorado. He did pretty good. I mean, he wasn't amazing, but he was pretty good at Colorado. Colorado was a solid team. They were not amazing. They were solid. And he got drafted in the fifth round of the NFL draft this past spring, Shedeur Sanders. Now, on the Cleveland Browns, that's the team that drafted him. He is now the third string quarterback. Their first string quarterback was a guy named Joe Flacco. Joe's been in the league for a long time. Joe got the Cleveland Browns are like 1-3 so far, so they're not a very good team. Joe Flacco hasn't been playing great, which is kind of expected. So Joe Flacco just got demoted and benched. He's no longer going to be the starting quarterback. The guy who was number two, this guy named Dylan Gabriel, he was drafted this year as well, but drafted earlier than Shedeur Sanders. And Dylan Gabriel is now going to be the starting quarterback. Joe Flacco is now the number two quarterback, and Shedeur stays in his spot as a number three quarterback. Now, everybody's been talking about, or a lot of fans have been talking about Shedeur Sanders for several reasons, which we're going to dive into here today. One of them being that Shedeur is this black kid who comes from this well-off family, and his dad is Deion Sanders, and Deion has a ton of fans. And they have positioned the conversation around Shedeur is just this amazing player that the NFL is quote unquote hating on, or certain people are hating on, or white people are hating on. And they're just trying to hold this guy down and not have him be successful because they're trying to block his success because for whatever reason, people are threatened or angry at or afraid of this kid being super successful in football. This argument does not make logical sense. And we're going to break down why it doesn't make logical sense as we get further into this conversation. But this is what a lot of people are saying around Shedeur Sanders. Again, this guy has not yet taken a snap in a live official regular season NFL game. He played a little bit in the preseason, but hasn't played in the regular season yet. Now, when this quarterback change happened, Joe Flacco gets benched. Dylan Gabriel is going to be the starter. Shedeur Sanders has a reporter come to him and ask him what he thinks about it. And Shedeur Sanders did some miming of an answer. In other words, his mouth is moving and he's giving facial expressions, but he's not actually making any sounds. So I guess he was doing this as a way of kind of answering back to critics who have said this guy's talking too much and giving too many answers, et cetera, et cetera. So then he got criticized for doing that. Then what some of his defenders are saying, well, if he says nothing, he literally didn't say anything when miming his answer to the question, he gets criticized for saying literally nothing. Then if he says something, he's criticized for saying literally something. So no matter what he does, people are going to hate on him. This is the frame that a lot of people have used around Shedeur Sanders, and this is flared up over the last couple of days after this situation occurred. Now, before I go even further into this, why is it that people are building this fence around Shedeur Sanders, around people allegedly hating on him and criticizing him for whatever reason? one main reason is because his dad is Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders has a lot of fans. As a player, I was a fan of Deion Sanders. Now he's a coach. I don't know about being a fan of a coach, but as a player, Deion Sanders was the man. Absolutely was the man. Now this is his son, and it looks like, not it looks like, actually this is true. Deion has taken his, and those of you who don't remember Deion as a player, Deion was a very flashy type of player. He was a very confident player. Some people would even say borderline cocky or arrogant, but he had the right to be because he was very good at what he did. He was maybe one of the most talented and one of the best in terms of performance at his position in the history of football. Deion is one of the best defensive backs we've ever seen in the NFL, and he had a lot of confidence because of that. And what Deion has done, it appears, is that he took his mentality that worked for him in the NFL, and he has passed it on to his child, his son, Shedeur Sanders. Now, Shedeur does not have his dad's personality. He's not as outspoken, not as brash as his dad, but it appears he's trying to follow in his dad's footsteps in terms of the putting yourself out there and being bold and being, I guess, what you call authentic and all this stuff. And his brother, his older brother, Deion Sanders Jr., who runs the media company that's based around the family, he was on social media just yesterday posting things around, well, you don't need to blend in when you're designed to stand out, and you don't need to try to be humble, and the people don't understand it because you're confident, and people are threatened by the confidence. And these are kind of things that it appears to be the family ethos. All right, be confident, be bold, be brash, put yourself out there, and if other people are bothered by your quote unquote confidence, that's their problem, it's not your problem. All right, this is a bullshit frame. And listen, I'm not a person who knocks the concept of confidence. I wrote books about confidence. See that yellow book right there behind me? That book is called The Super You. It's all about confidence. I have no problem with the concept of confidence. I played professional sports. You need confidence to play a sport professionally. However, calling every criticism of you somebody pushing back or having a problem with your confidence is a straw man argument. That's not the problem with Shedeur Sanders right now. And a lot of people seem to not understand that. And this is something that I'm going to be able to break down here in long form so that all of you can understand how this applies with team dynamics when you're working within any organization, especially when you're not the main person, especially when you're not the best player in the room, like Deion Sanders Sr. was. His son is not the best player in the room. His son is not the best player in the locker room. And the problem is, and I'm going to dive into this, is that a lot of Shedeur's fans, supporters, backers, defenders, and apparently his family, they have created this idea that, oh, because he's confident, people don't like him. It doesn't make any sense. Or they're hating on him, trying to block him from being successful. Again, doesn't make any sense. Why would you be paying somebody and then trying to stop them from being successful? That doesn't even add up. And that maybe white people have a problem with him because he's black and confident. Again, doesn't add up. The NFL has created more black millionaires than any organization in America. So if white people have a problem with black people getting rich and being confident, then why does the NFL exist? It doesn't even make any sense. We're going to break all of this down here today. So people are saying he gets attacked no matter what he does. Then the issue is trying to put himself out there as if he has some level of swagger, or he is just, again, this word confident is going to come up over and over again. The racial angle to this is a big part of it. This is some black person who allegedly makes white people uncomfortable. So there's a whole bunch of black people who are going to hop on that and ride that train no matter what it is, no matter what point is being made, whether there's any rationality or logic behind it. There's a whole bunch of black people in America who, as long as they feel espousing some idea or supporting some person, idea, action, etc., makes white people uncomfortable, quote unquote, they're going to go with it because this is the identity that a lot of black people have decided to buy into. Again, another bad idea. And many talent evaluators and scouts generally have said that maybe this kid is just not that good, just on a basic level. But a lot of people don't even want to talk about that. But today, we're going to talk about all of this. So with all that frame established, let me introduce myself. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete. Get the likes up, please, on TikTok. Tap the screen, get the likes up. We're at 8,000 likes. Get the likes up on TikTok, please. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, on a few TED Talks, and run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we help you weaponize discipline, performance, execution, all through systems so that you can have command of the room, have that confidence, have that discipline, and again, produce results consistently, not just randomly. You can learn more about working with me by going to the links you see in my bio or profile, or just send me a text message with the word live to my number, The number is 305-384-6894. Just send me a normal text message and we'll send you some stuff about working with me, and you can get more about books that we have, et cetera, et cetera. You can get into my world. So here's the thing that I said about Shedeur Sanders back when the draft happened. So back in the NFL draft, which was around April of this year, Shedeur Sanders dropped in the draft. The NFL draft, they stretched it out to like 2 or 3 days now. It used to be all one day. So they stretched it out to 2 or 3 days. Everybody thought, well, a lot of supporters thought Shedeur Sanders was going to be a top draft pick. He was not. He was not picked on the first day of the draft, which was the first round. And I think he even went to the third day. I don't know how long the draft was, but he ends up getting drafted in the 5th round, which is pretty late for a guy who's allegedly a star. Now, a lot of talent evaluators said this kid he's okay, but he's really not that good. But you juxtapose that with him being Deion Sanders' son, having a whole lot of hype and attention around him. His brother has a damn media company that is all based on hyping up and promoting him. So the social media aspect of it makes it seem like this guy's a can't miss star, whereas the scouts are saying this kid is really not as good as the hype that is around him. Then he goes in the 5th round. So now the arguments begin. People say, well, he only went in the 5th round because people are hating on him. They don't like him. He's too confident. He's too brash. They don't like the fact that he comes from a successful black family, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all know the things black people like to say. If you don't know, just listen up. I'll tell you. Then you had other people saying, well, maybe it's just because he's just not that good. And this is the NFL. It is a job. And if nobody wants you, then you're not going to be on the team. Here's the thing about all of that. Now, I said this at the time of the draft. The argument that people didn't pick Shedeur Sanders because he is too confident and too cocky, or he's not even cocky, but too confident and he believes in himself too much, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this doesn't make any sense, and I'm going to tell you why it doesn't make any sense. All right, here is Shedeur Sanders' dad. This is Deion Sanders. This is not him today. This is not what he looks like now. This is Shedeur Sanders' dad back when Shedeur Sanders' dad was the same age as his son. Y'all see that pic? Y'all see that? I got to go look at it. This is Deion Sanders back when he got drafted to the NFL. So does this guy look confident? Does he look what some of you may call cocky? Does he look brash? Does he look like he has no problem putting himself out there? All right, this is Deion back in the day. This is 1989 when he got drafted to the NFL. All right, everybody see this? 1989, this is his dad. Deion Sanders was number 5 pick in the NFL draft. Number 5 in the whole draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th pick in the draft. Shedeur Sanders was drafted in the 5th round of the draft. So he was like 100 something, whatever number pick he was. Way, way back there. So if confidence is a problem and the NFL doesn't like confident black men, explain why this guy was the number 5 pick in the draft. Somebody explain that to me. If confidence causes the NFL to get uncomfortable, how'd this guy go number 5? And how'd he make the Hall of Fame on the first ballot? Why is he recognized as maybe the best player ever in his position in history of the NFL? This is that. If the NFL has a problem with this, how'd this happen? Somebody explain this. NFL doesn't have a problem with cocky or brash or arrogant or confident, whatever words you want to use, black men. They have no problem with men like that because, again, 1989, that happened. That guy is in the Hall of Fame. That guy made the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Everybody knew he was a star from day one. And he was a star from day one. He was a star on the last day, too. This guy, Shedeur Sanders' dad, Deion Sanders. So this argument of, well, his confidence or his belief in himself makes people uncomfortable is bullshit. Throw that away. Let's stop using that. The difference between Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders is that Deion Sanders was significantly more talented than his son. Deion Sanders doesn't want to acknowledge this reality. Y'all remember LeVar Ball? Remember him? LeVar Ball? He's still around. He's still alive. I think he had his foot amputated or something crazy that happened to him like several months ago or a year or so ago. But y'all remember LeVar Ball, right? So LeVar Ball was this dad who had 3 sons who were playing basketball, and they got known a little bit when they were still playing in high school. His oldest son was named Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is currently in the NBA. I forget he's on the Cleveland Cavaliers now, but he has some injuries, so he missed some time. Lonzo Ball was a high pick in the NBA draft. His youngest son was this guy named LaMelo Ball. LaMelo is currently on the Charlotte Hornets. He was a high pick in the NBA draft. And he had a son in the middle. His middle son was named LiAngelo Ball. And LiAngelo Ball did not get drafted to the NBA, but he did get some tryouts in the Summer League and the G League, etc. His career didn't quite work out, and he decided to become a rapper. So LiAngelo Ball today is a rapper. At least the last that I heard, he's a rapper making music. I have not heard his music, but he's allegedly a rapper, and allegedly some people like him. I'm bringing up LeVar Ball to say this because they were asking LeVar Ball questions about like which of your sons you think is the best, et cetera, et cetera. And LeVar Ball once said Lonzo is like the ultimate at passing the ball, and LiAngelo is the ultimate at scoring the ball, and LaMelo is like a mix of both of them together. And one thing that LeVar said in a moment of humility, I guess you could say, for LeVar Ball, the closest you can get to it from LeVar, because LeVar has made it clear that he's never lost a game of one-on-one and he could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. And somebody asked him, I saw this clip the other day. Somebody had went up to LeVar and said, hey, now that you had your foot amputated, like he lost his foot. He said, LeVar, do you still think you could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one? Because he claimed he could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. He said he could just bully Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wouldn't beat him, which is nonsense, but it was funny. And LeVar Ball, in the clip that I saw the other day, he said, well, the fact that I got my foot amputated only makes it more even for me to play Michael Jordan. I can still beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. So LeVar Ball is an entertaining, funny guy. But one of the things that LeVar said when he was talking about his sons, he said that he once told his middle son, LiAngelo, that's the guy who's now a rapper because he didn't make it in basketball. He told him that, look, you might not make it. You might be the one out of the three of the boys who doesn't make it in basketball, because he knew Lonzo was going to make it. Lonzo did. He knew LaMelo was going to make it, which he did. He said he told LiAngelo, you might not make it. You just might not have the talent to make it at that level. I don't know if Dion has preached that type of humility to his kids. And I think the issue that Dion has, as opposed to LeVar Ball, is pretty clear to me that LeVar Ball's sons had more basketball talent than LeVar Ball had. And I don't know if LeVar Ball told his sons that, because he seems to be a pretty big mouth, loud mouth, outspoken guy, and clearly doesn't have any problems with confidence. But clearly, you can look at the outcomes. None of you ever heard of LeVar Ball till his sons got heard of. We know LeVar Ball because of his sons. We know about Dion's sons because of Dion. That's the opposite. You know about LeVar Ball's sons because his sons made it to the NBA. LeVar Ball wasn't in the NBA. Nobody heard of LeVar Ball. But we heard of Dion's sons because we heard of Dion. That's the difference. And I'm not sure Dion could preach this type of humility to his sons to tell them, like, yeah, I was the man. I was dominant. I was the shit in football. I was the most talented guy on the field as soon as I walked into the facility. Y'all ain't that. I don't know if he said that to his oldest son, who played in college and doesn't play anymore. I don't know if he said it to his other son, who had a tryout in the NFL, but didn't. I don't think he's on the roster right now, but maybe he is. I don't know. I'm damn sure he didn't say that to his son, his youngest son, who's in the NFL right now as a third string quarterback. I'm pretty sure he didn't tell that to his kids. Right? Listen, I have more talent than y'all. Therefore, y'all can't conduct yourselves the way that I conducted myself, because I, first of all, played defensive back. And as a defensive back, you're on an island. You're like a wide receiver. Defensive backs and wide receivers are on islands, meaning nobody is looking to you for leadership. Nobody is really listening to what you say as it is like the pulse of what's happening with the team. You could just be you. All right, you want to be outlandish. You want to be stylish. You want to draw a bunch of attention to yourself. You want to talk a lot. You want to just say stuff. Fine. Do whatever you want to do. As long as you can play well on the field, do you. All right. Nobody's following your lead. You're a defensive back. You're a wide receiver. Nobody's following you. As a quarterback, however, you don't have this luxury. As a quarterback, everybody's listening to you. You have to have command of the locker room. You got to have the respect of the locker room, of everybody, even the guys on defense, if you're going to be the quarterback. Look at people like Tom Brady. Look at a Joe Montana. Look at a Troy Aikman. These kind of players. And you have to carry yourself in a certain type of way if you want to have the respect of the rest of the team, regardless of your level of talent. Shedeur Sanders doesn't seem to understand that, and there's a reason why he doesn't understand it. One reason is he's been being coached by his father his entire life. I believe this is the first time since he's picked up a football that his dad was not the coach. That's a problem. Because when your dad is the coach, I'm pretty sure your dad's going to hand you the ball. Like, hey, he's the quarterback. He's going to play. You don't have to compete. You don't have to beat anybody out. You don't have to earn anything. It doesn't mean you don't have to be good. He obviously has some level of skill. He got drafted to the NFL, so he has something. But he's never had to compete. He's never had anybody coaching him other than his dad. And I'm not sure. Actually, I am sure. You wouldn't know what to do if you have somebody who's not your dad coaching you. If your whole life your dad's been the coach. On top of the fact that it appears Dion doesn't have the humility himself. That's his dad. Dion does not have the humility himself to say to his son, hey, son, you don't have the same talent that I have. You're going to have to work a little bit harder to get the same things that I got. You want to get to where I was at in football, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. You have to approach the game a little bit differently because we're not playing the same position. And again, you don't have my genetic gifts. You got some of them, but not all of them. All right. So all the genetic gifts that I got, son, you ain't got them. I'm sorry. All right. You didn't get blessed with the talent that I had. You're going to have to work a little bit harder, which means you're going to have to be a little bit more humble. You can't be as brash as I was. You can't be as outspoken as I was. And if you're playing, and because you're playing a different position than me in a sport where you're playing the position that's the most important in all of team sports, which is quarterback in football. Excuse me. The most important position in all of team sports is quarterback, football quarterback. And in that position, you can't carry yourself like Deion Sanders. You can't do it. Name as a wildly successful quarterback who did it. You can't name one. Look at all the big name quarterbacks who've been great. They all carry themselves in a very disciplined and very professional way. You can't be the one hamming for the cameras. You can't be the one always trying to draw attention to yourself. And if you're not playing, if you're not the number one quarterback, you should not be speaking. You should be seen and not heard. So some people say, well, what do you do if the media is coming to you asking you questions all the time? It's not your fault the media asks you questions. You got to say something. If you say something, they criticize you. Say nothing, they criticize you. I say, no, that's incorrect. That's a false binary. Here's what you do. If you're a backup quarterback playing in the NFL, whether you're the number 2, number 3, whatever number you are, but you're not number 1, and the media comes to you asking you questions, you give answers that are so bland and so boring that the media learns they're not going to get anything useful from you. Therefore, they stop asking you questions. That's what you do. Simple as that. That's what Shedeur Sanders needs to do. And if they keep asking you questions, you get the same boring answer every time, they're going to learn they're not going to get much useful from you. So they're not going to spend a lot of time asking you stuff because they're not going to get any useful material out of you. That's what you do. There's a football coach named Bill Belichick. Y'all know Bill Belichick? Now, what he's doing in North Carolina and with that girl who's like 24 is a whole different conversation that we're not going to have here today. But I'm bringing up Bill Belichick for a reason. Because when he was the coach of the New England Patriots, they had this whole thing that they called the Patriot Way. And the Patriot Way was all based on Bill Belichick. Yes, you had Tom Brady and you had a lot of good players and you got the owner, Robert Kraft. The Patriot Way was based around Bill Belichick. He's the one who instituted it. He's the one who made sure everybody followed it. Patriot Way was all about do not do anything that's drawing unnecessary attention to you for anything that has to do with anything other than doing your job on the football field. If you are not a prominent player, don't be giving the media anything useful. Don't be telling them what you think. Nobody gives a damn. Just do your job and be quiet. That was the way it worked in New England as a Patriot football player. And he would even tell, from what I've heard from people who have been close or on the inside, he would even tell people who are backups, listen, now when the media comes to you asking you questions, give them such a boring answer, they leave you alone. Bill Belichick was famous when he was the coach. He would give boring answers. As the coach, he would give boring answers to the media. They never got anything useful from him. For those of you who don't understand how the media works, all right, the job of the media, their job, the reporters who come into the locker room and ask questions of the players and the coaches, what they need is someone who can give them useful material that they can take and write an article or a piece about, or they can nowadays, instead of just writing an article that goes on social media or a blog, what they do is they take that material and they post it to social media. That's their job. And they need something useful and interesting that can maybe go viral and get clicks and hits and comments, etc. That's how they get measured. In media these days, you get measured by your clicks and your engagement. So if the media learns that coming to you is going to give them something boring and bland that is not going to get any clicks on social media, guess what they're going to do? They're going to stop fucking asking you questions. Why? Because talking to you is not going to give them what they need to make themselves look good at their job. That's how it works. This was true back in the newspaper days. I mean, we still have newspapers, but back in the days when newspaper was the main way to get the word out, even back then, this was the case. If you were a boring interview, the media either would ask you a quick question, get a boring answer from you, and go find somebody who might give them something interesting, and or they just wouldn't ask you questions at all because you're not giving them anything useful. And again, that's not helping me, the reporter, if you're giving me boring answers. So I got to go find somebody who's interesting. Charles Barkley, for example, when he was playing, he was known as a very interesting interview because he always said something interesting. People who gave more boring answers, you could get the answers from them because maybe they were a star. Michael Jordan, for example, generally gave pretty boring answers when the media came to him. He was pretty boring. He didn't say anything that was really that interesting. He was very polished. Simple answer, answers your question, and basically left it alone. So Shedeur Sanders could do that. He could do it. I don't think he understands that. First of all, I don't think his father taught that to him. Second of all, because dad never had that problem, and I don't think he wants to. Third of all, even if he did, I don't think he wants to. I believe that Shedeur Sanders doesn't know what to do with himself now that he's finally on a team where his dad's number one. Number one, his dad's not the coach. Number two, he's not being treated like a star. And number three, I don't think he knows what to do with this combination of two things. He's never experienced it before. And he's an adult now. He doesn't know what to do with these. So this is the issue that he's dealing with right now. And again, who's going to teach this to him? Who's he going to listen to besides his dad? His dad's been coaching him his whole life. And his dad is on social media. Let me see if I can see what his dad said, because his dad said something dumb the other day. And again, I was a fan of Deion as a player. As a player, I was a fan of Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders said, because the video came out of the son, Shedeur, doing this miming of an answer and didn't actually answer the question, but he's miming himself answering the question. Let's see if I can find it. I thought it was on his page, but it's not on his page. So on his page, he's just giving, I guess you can call motivational stuff. But there was somewhere he responded and he basically co-signed what his son did. But I'll tell you what, Deion Sanders Jr., this is Deion's oldest son. I believe he's the oldest son, what he does. So he runs this company called Well Off. It's a luxury brand that sells an opulent lifestyle through clothing, accessories, and everyday experiences. Whatever. This is what he says. Deion Sanders Jr. posted yesterday. He said, people that, open quote, blend in, close quote, trying to teach people that, open quote, stand out, close quote, how to, open quote, blend in, close quote. Basically, advice on how to be average. That's what Deion Sanders Jr. said. People that blend in, trying to teach people that stand out how to blend in. Basically, advice on how to be average. All right, this is a bad idea. Let me tell you why this is a bad idea by Deion Sanders Jr., even though he's not in the NFL, he's not on the team. The reason this is bad is because when you get drafted to play a professional sport, you get vetted. Y'all know what that means, getting vetted? It means that the team that's thinking about drafting you look around at everybody around you. Who are your influences and who are you hanging out with? And they ask themselves, because if we draft this guy, especially a quarterback, this more so than any other position in football, you got to be the leader. So they vet the quarterback more than they vet a defensive end or a linebacker or a safety or a kicker, because the quarterback has to lead the whole team. You're the leader of everybody, even though you play offense. You even lead the defense when you're the quarterback. If the quarterback has bad influences around him, and by bad, I mean people who are going to be in that person's head that we don't want them thinking the way that that person appears to think, they stay away from him. The reason that Shedeur Sanders went in the 5th round of the NFL draft is not necessarily because he doesn't have the talent for the 4th round or the 3rd round or the 2nd round. Not necessarily. Maybe that's the case. Some people say that is. Might not be the case. The reason why Shedeur Sanders went in the 5th round is because the people around him, like his brother, like his father, seem to be so much in his ear, because he's the youngest. I think he's the youngest out of all of them. Between his 2 brothers and his dad, he's the youngest one. They are all on this confidence, standing out, not blending in, be yourself. No, you're out and above everybody else in the room. You can't have that kind of energy when you ain't got the talent to match it. That's the problem. Deion Sanders could carry himself like that because he was better than everybody. Shedeur Sanders ain't that good. He ain't as good as Deion Sanders, but he appears to have the mentality of Deion Sanders injected into him, but he doesn't have the talent of Deion Sanders. That's the mismatch. That's the issue. So Deion Sanders Jr., this is the oldest kid who is the media company guy. People that blend in, trying to teach people to stand out how to blend in. Okay, first of all, Shedeur Sanders is not standing out right now. All he's doing is sitting on the bench. He's a 3rd-string quarterback for a bad NFL team. You're not standing out. You're literally sitting on the bench. That's what you're doing. You are a 3rd-string quarterback in the NFL. You're not standing out. And what he's saying is, Deion Sanders Jr., people that blend in, trying to teach people to stand out how to blend in. Well, it's not so much about blending in. Okay, this is a false binary. So let me pull my soundboard out because I've already mentioned a couple of these. This is a false binary.
Not that guy, pal. Trust me, you're not that guy. Okay.
This is a bad idea by Deion Sanders Jr. because the team knows. Every NFL team is seeing this. This is the part y'all got to understand. This Shedeur Sanders' rookie year in the NFL. So let's say he spends 10 years in the league. Maybe he gets a chance to play. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not. I don't think he's going to spend his whole career playing for the Cleveland Browns. Maybe at one point he's going to get on a different team. Now, if and when he becomes a free agent or teams want to trade him to another team, those teams are going to look around at him and they're going to look at the people around him and say, okay, do we want a guy like this? This post by Deion Sanders Jr. is not helping his brother. Why? Because if I'm running the Miami Dolphins and I'm thinking, hey, maybe we could trade for Shedeur Sanders. All right, now let's vet him and let's see who's around him. Who is he listening to? Who is Shedeur Sanders getting advice from? Oh, well, his brother, Deion Sanders Jr. Here's what Deion Sanders Jr. says. People that blend in, trying to teach people to stand out how to blend in. Why is this a problem? Because we might be trading for Shedeur Sanders to make him our number 2 or number 3 quarterback. Now, if you're the number 2 or number 3 quarterback, again, when you're that in the NFL, your job is to be quiet. Your job is not to stand out. I don't want to stand out number 2 or number 3 quarterback. I don't want you standing out. The number 1 quarterback is the one standing out. You need to be quiet, hold a clipboard, and don't say anything. So if you think that your job is to stand out, and I'm bringing you in as a number 2 quarterback, there's an incongruence between what I need from you and who you think you are. And you know what that means? If I'm vetting you, and I believe there's an incongruence between who it appears you think you are and what I'm actually looking for, do we know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to sign you to my team. This is why Shedeur Sanders went in the 5th round. He didn't go in the 5th round necessarily because of talent. Now, if he was amazingly talented, he would have went in the 1st round regardless of the people around him, because when you have so much talent, it doesn't matter. He ain't got that much talent. He has enough talent to be in the league, but not so much that you can overlook the red flags. The fact that this is his brother is a red flag, because you're a backup quarterback. Backup quarterback should be very, very quiet. You should be seen and not heard. Somebody asks you a question, give a bland, boring answer that nobody notices and nobody remembers 2 minutes after you said it. That's your job. Could Deion Sanders teach that to his son? No. Did he? No. And look, Deion Sanders Jr. ain't teaching it. He don't understand. He doesn't know. So Shedeur doesn't know. He's never been coached by anybody other than his dad. So guess what he's been learning his whole life? I don't know how old he is. Let's say he's 21, 22, 23. He's been learning this his whole life. Oh, just do it how you want to do it. Bad idea. So here's what else Deion Sanders Jr. said. He posted something else shortly after that, or before that. He says, open quote, happy to be here, close quote, people will never understand the mentality and ways of people that desire greatness. Now, this is a hilarious thing to say when Deion Sanders Jr. his only significance is the fact that his name is Deion Sanders Jr. All right, what kind of greatness has this kid achieved? I don't even want to attack him, but it's funny that he's saying this. It's when you get around people like Deion, I understand. I'm a fan of Deion Sanders, the player, when he was playing. So obviously he's taught his mindset to his kids. Fair enough. Your kids, your choice. The issue is happy to be here, people. This is what Deion Sanders Jr., I guess he's talking about everybody else who's criticizing his brother. They're happy to be there. They won't understand the mentality and ways of people that desire greatness. Well, I mean, do you understand it? Deion Sanders Jr., who are you? What have you accomplished? What makes you this person who understands the mentality and ways of people who desire greatness? What greatness have you accomplished? Nothing that I know of. I only know your name because your dad's name is Deion Sanders and you're the junior. What have you accomplished? I don't like this framing. I'm just not a fan of this type of framing. And even if you're a person who does desire greatness, you don't go out and say this. You just live it. And it becomes obvious. Other people say it for you. You don't have to say it for yourself. The fact that he even has to say this, even if he did desire greatness, is, again, it's the incongruence again. And if I'm a team, I'm the Chicago Bears, I'm thinking about getting Shedeur Sanders. Oh, this guy is influencing him. This kid is influencing the kid that I'm thinking about picking up. And this is the way he's thinking. Again, if I'm asking you to be my star player, okay, fine. You can think like this all you want. But as a backup, no thank you. Backup quarterbacks can't be loud. This is the reason why there's a player named Cam Newton. Y'all know Cam Newton? Cam Newton was a guy who he did his dances and he did his Superman celebration. And Cam, several years into his career, when he first came in the league, he wasn't doing all that. But when several years into his career, he started getting into being a little bit more outlandish and he started having these, I don't even know what to call the kind of clothing he was wearing to the games and to the press conferences. When he started doing that was around the same time that his performance started to slack off. All right, this is true. If Cam's watching this or somebody in Cam's camp is watching this, this is true. Around the time he started wearing the more outlandish clothing and wearing his hair, grew his hair out, and he had the fancy hats. And again, I don't even know what to call the kind of clothing he was wearing. That coincided with the fact that his game started to fall off. Now, here's the point. Because in sports, you play long enough, everybody's game falls off at some point. So that's not really the point. Later in his career, after Cam was no longer good enough to be a starter, he became a backup. And interestingly enough, he goes and signs with the New England Patriots. He was a backup quarterback with the New England Patriots. The issue was for Cam, and this is just my perspective on it, was that he had built such a big persona for himself, such a big brand, if you will, for himself, that he had basically branded himself out of ever being a backup quarterback. You couldn't have Cam Newton as a backup quarterback because he built such a big brand that his presence took a lot of air out of the room. In other words, Cam Newton drew so much attention just by being Cam Newton and what he made Cam Newton into be. That drew so much attention that you can't have him as a backup because the job of a backup is to be quiet and not draw attention to yourself. But he made himself such a magnet for attention that we can't have you as a backup, which means the only way you can play in the NFL is if you're a starter. The problem is he wasn't good enough to be a starter anymore. This is the reason why Cam Newton's career ended probably before it should have ended. He could still be signed to an NFL team. I don't know, maybe today, but his career could have went on a couple years longer than it did. The reason why it did not is because, again, his personality became so big through his own doing that when his play couldn't match his personality, nobody could afford to, and I don't mean afford in money terms, but nobody could afford in terms of locker room chemistry. They couldn't afford to have this guy on the team. And that's why his career ended earlier than it could have, earlier than it should have. Now, Shedeur Sanders, again, he ain't Cam Newton. Cam Newton was number one pick in the NFL draft. Cam Newton took a team at Auburn that wasn't even that good to the national championship because Cam Newton was fucking unstoppable. Cam Newton was that good. Y'all remember that team he took to the championship at Auburn? I believe that the interesting stat is, of all the starters on that team, not one guy on the team other than Cam Newton ever played in the NFL. He took that team to the national championship. That's how good Cam Newton was. Then he went to the NFL. He was very good. He won MVP, took his team to the Super Bowl, didn't win the Super Bowl. Cam Newton was that good. Shedeur Sanders ain't that good. He ain't as good as Cam Newton. He doesn't have that talent. And again, Cam Newton wasn't even doing all the look at me stuff until later in his career. Earlier in his career, even when they lost that Super Bowl, Cam Newton had a regular haircut. See, he didn't get the hairstyle stuff didn't start till later. That was later on in his career. Shedeur Sanders, again, appears to be following in the footsteps of his dad. This is not a good idea. That's the point that I'm making here. Now, the supporters of Shedeur, I'm sure there are plenty of you listening to this right now. We'll get to the comments shortly. That he was non-verbally taking the criticism that had been thrown at him and he was turning it into a statement without using words. Okay, this is why this is also a problem. Again, we're coming back to the same issue over and over again. Whatever criticism he was getting was because he was talking too much. Backup and third string quarterbacks shouldn't talk so much. You shouldn't be getting sound bites out of backup quarterbacks. If you're a backup quarterback, there's nothing you should ever say to the media that becomes a soundbite. If you say something that becomes a soundbite, you said too much. Period. You ain't even playing. Why are you talking? Why are you giving the media anything useful when you ain't even playing? This is the question that any backup would be asked. If you're the backup running back, you're the backup wide receiver, you're a backup offensive tackle, you're the backup safety, you're the backup kicker. Why are you giving a statement to the media that becomes a soundbite? Why? Who cares what you think? Answer is nobody. Now, some say, well, people care what Shedeur thinks. No, they wouldn't care if he wouldn't give them anything. If you wouldn't tell them what you were thinking, then they wouldn't care. Stop telling people what you think. You're not playing. You're a third-string quarterback who was a fifth-round draft pick. Why are you talking? If Shedeur Sanders is playing for the New England Patriots, he got cut by Bill Belichick. Prime Bill Belichick. I don't know about the Bill Belichick now dating the 24-year-old chick. But prime Bill Belichick, he would have got cut. He wouldn't have got drafted by the Patriots, actually. They wouldn't need to cut him because they wouldn't even play this shit. The reason why he got passed over by all the teams in the league multiple times in the draft, Shedeur Sanders, is because of this. Not because he can't throw the football. So the fact that he did the miming thing, all it did was the same thing that he was getting criticized for. You're drawing attention. Stop drawing attention. It's not you're saying things that are bad. It's not that you're doing things that are bad. It's a combination of either one. Stop drawing attention. This is what you're doing wrong. Do not draw attention at all. Don't do anything that draws attention. If anything you do draws attention, you made a mistake. And it's something that you did. The media can't make you draw attention. They can ask you anything they want. You don't have to answer. Has any of you ever been asked a question that you didn't want to answer and you didn't answer the question? Anybody in this room? Anybody watching me right now ever had somebody ask you a question, you didn't want to answer it, and you didn't answer the question? Okay, so all of you know how that works. And you ever had somebody call you and you knew who it was, you saw the missed call in your call log, and you didn't call them back? Has any of you ever ignored a call? Any of you ever done it before? Okay, yes. Okay. Has any of you ever left a text message on read or a direct message on read? Somebody sent you a DM or a text asking you for something that they wanted you to respond to, and you looked at it, you saw it, and you didn't respond. Any of you ever done that before? Okay, so everybody's done it before. All right, has any of you ever had somebody say something to you in person that you didn't want to engage with, you didn't want to respond, you didn't want to argue, you didn't want to answer their question, you just didn't answer their question? Maybe you ignored them, maybe you walked away, maybe you said something, but you didn't address the actual thing they were asking because you didn't want to, and you just moved the conversation forward because you didn't want to answer that question. Any of you ever done that before? Okay, so the answer is yes to all of those. I don't even need y'all to give me answers. Everybody's done that before. So all of you saying, and it's mostly young black males that I've noticed, young black males who have been, for whatever reason, you've been taught this helplessness, that because somebody came to you, put a microphone in front of your face and a camera in front of you and asked you a question, that you just have to respond and you have to say something. No, you don't. And I just proved it. Somebody calls you, you don't have to answer. Somebody texts you, you don't have to write them back. Somebody DMs you, you don't have to reply to the DM. Somebody says something to provoke you, you don't have to engage with them if you don't want to. You chose to. Shedeur Sanders knows how to be quiet, but let's practice being quiet. Watch this. See how easy that is? Anybody can not talk. He doesn't have to say anything. And again, if you feel like you have to say something to the media because they ask you a question. Okay, let's say they come up to him and they say, Shedeur, how do you feel about Dylan Gabriel being named the starting quarterback and replacing Joe Flacco? He can say, hey, that's great for Dylan. We all work together in the quarterback room every day. I'm glad he's going to get this opportunity, and hopefully it can help the team because our goal here is to win games, and we want to turn this around and start having a successful season. My job as the third string quarterback is to help the team and the starter get ready for the upcoming opponent. So I'm going to keep doing my job, and hopefully Dylan does great at his job, and I'm looking forward to us getting out there and winning the game that's coming up next week. Can Shedeur Sanders say that? Is he incapable of saying that? Is he too confident to say that? Oh, is he he's too much of a standout? He can't say that. Now, is anything interesting about that statement? No. Is there a soundbite that comes out of that? No. Is that going viral on social media? No. All right. Can you be confident and still say that? Are you still confident after you say something like that? Or do you lose all your confidence? Does your mojo go away because you said that? No. So what is this idea that he has to say something that gets attention just because they put a mic in his face? All right, this is bullshit. No, you don't. You can ignore questions. So this whole concept of, well, he had to say something because they came to him with a question, nonsense. This is hollow posturing. So he isn't playing. He's not proving anything. All he's doing is drawing attention to himself with headlines. You shouldn't have more headlines than you got completions. This is what we say in sports. Basketball trainers and coaches used to say, you shouldn't have more posts on social media than you have points in the last game. If that's happening, you got a problem. And you're playing football, you're the quarterback. You shouldn't have more headlines in the media than you have completed passes this season. Shedeur Sanders got like 4 or 5 media headlines and no completed passes. This is a bad formula. I don't give a damn what excuse you got. And Dion, the dad, should be saying this to his son. Like, son, you ain't completed a pass yet. You might want to ease up on talking to the media. Just be quiet. Stop speaking. But Dion's co-signing what his son is doing. Oh, you're drawing attention, so that's a good thing. No, sir. Drawing attention is good when your performance matches the attention, like Dion did. I don't think Dion has the self-awareness to understand this. I don't think he has it. I would hope that he has it because Dion's like 60 years old. But I'm not sure that he does because look at his son. A tree is judged by its fruits. So Dion, this is your kid. Your kid seems to be taking up after you. The problem is you ain't give him all the talent you had. He got it seems to have the mentality and the thought process, but he ain't got the talent. That's a problem. And that requires a level of self-awareness to understand this. So some argue that Shedeur Sanders is being held to harsher standards and being criticized more because of who his father is, a successful black athlete, and the criticisms are rooted in bias, that some black athletes are often labeled arrogant unfairly. Well, again, Deion Sanders, I showed y'all the photo of Deion Sanders. Let me show you the photo of Deion Sanders again, in case any of you forgot. All right, here's Deion Sanders when he was drafted 40 years ago, 35 years ago. This is Deion Sanders. That's Shedeur Sanders' dad. That was pretty, whatever words you want to put on that, Deion is it. Cocky, brash, arrogant, whatever. Confident. Deion Sanders was this. Difference is this guy was good enough to be the number 5 pick in the draft, and he lived up to the billing. First ballot Hall of Famer. Greatest player at his position, arguably, ever. So there's no problem with a black athlete being, even if you want to label him arrogant. A lot of people called Deion arrogant back when he was playing. So look at his performance. Look at the results. Look at the scoreboard. All right, call him arrogant. All right, he was still pretty good. Some say Cam Newton was arrogant. Okay. Cam Newton got an MVP trophy on his shelf. Shedeur Sanders, what he got? He ain't got nothing. So you can't copy the energy of a person without having their performance. That's the problem. And this is what, nobody has an answer to this because there is no answer to it. So some people are trying to make this a race thing. This is not a race thing. Confidence is fine. Like, I have no problem with confidence. I teach confidence. I've written books on confidence. I've done TED Talks on confidence. I have no problem with the concept of confidence. Confidence is your belief in your ability to do something. Everybody should believe in their ability to do a thing. At the same time, you have to have the self-awareness to understand when to push the confidence button and put it out on Front Street, and also when to be quiet. Smart people know when to speak and when not to speak. It's not your job as a quote-unquote confident person to just put your confidence in everybody's face every single chance that you get. Because again, if you actually have confidence, you don't have to tell people you're confident. This is what somebody needs to get this note out to Mr. Deion Sanders Jr. See, if you're the type of person who stands out naturally, you don't have to post on social media that you stand out. This is what Deion Sanders Jr. doesn't understand. And this is why he shouldn't be talking. Saying that happy to be here, people will never understand the mentality and ways of people that desire greatness. Well, again, the mentality and ways of people who desire greatness is obvious in their behavior, not in their social media posts. See, if you have to tell everybody on social media every day that you desire greatness, you don't really desire greatness. You're just looking for the validation that comes from other people co-signing that you said you desire greatness. When you truly desire greatness, your results eventually show it and your behavior shows it. You don't have to keep telling people. It eventually comes through. Eventually you get your chance and you do your thing. But you don't have to keep talking about it. If you got to talk about it, you ain't really doing it. People that blend in, trying to teach people that stand out how to blend in. But again, and this is one of the guys that's closest to Shedeur Sanders. That's the reason why I'm using these posts by Shedeur Sanders' brother. And he says advice on how to be average. Well, all due respect, Deion Sanders Jr., your brother right now, amongst NFL players, he's below average. And he ain't even playing. So maybe he's following this advice. I don't know. So this is not a good idea. And any of you who's ever played a sport at a high level, especially a team sport, hopefully you all are understanding this. And if you haven't played, you need to understand this. Even if you're not playing a sport, when you're a member of a team, you have to understand where is your place in the hierarchy of the team. And you got to know your place. You got to know your position. And you don't carry yourself as if you're in a position all the way up here when your actual position is all the way down here. That's a bad idea. You end up off the team. You end up out of the organization. You do that. Play your role. In a sport, everybody has to know their role. Everybody has to know their position. And everybody got to do their job. If you don't know your role or you behave as if you don't understand your role, you may end up not having a job anymore. And this is the mistake that Shedeur Sanders seems to be being set up for by his own family member, and I guess by extension his fans, who are co-signing what his families are saying. His family is saying. So every athlete has been criticized. So people are saying, well, Shedeur is being criticized because of ABC. There's nothing Shedeur does or represents that has never existed before in football. He ain't the first to do anything. He ain't the first player to come from a team in college that was, what was their record? Like 9-4? Or ain't nothing special about that. He ain't the first player to do that. He ain't the first player to have been coached by his dad. He's not the first player to come from a well-off family. He ain't the first to do that. What is he doing that's so brand new? The answer is nothing. There's nothing about him that's new or unique. So a lot of, again, young black males are saying, well, he's doing this and this and this. Nothing he's doing has never been seen before. Nothing. Everything that he allegedly represents, his dad did it 10 times better than he did. And his dad did it successfully. So why is he not doing it? His dad did it successfully from the first day. First day, as soon as he got in the league. His son's still sitting on the bench. What's new about this? The answer is nothing. So many fans and analysts say the only real test is going to be when he actually plays. Generally, I agree. And that's when he can either silence critics or confirm their doubts. I generally agree with that as well. This is a performance-based business. So if and when he ever gets his chance to play, we're going to see. I still don't think that's going to really solve anything, because if he gets a chance to play, if and when he gets a chance to play, if his team doesn't do well or his stats aren't that great, I can already write the responses that his supporters are going to have for that, is that, well, it's the team. And this is the problem these days that happen with a lot of fans of athletes. It's not necessarily the athletes all the time, but it's the fans of the athletes. That when you're a fan of an athlete and that team is not doing well, then you say, well, my favorite athlete, is not their fault that they're losing because the team is not that good. Oh, the team's not that good. That's the reason why, let's say Shedeur plays and he loses a couple games. Well, it's not because of him. It's because the team's not that good. Offensive line's bad. The receivers aren't that good. The defense is not that good. They put him in a losing position. No wonder he's playing poorly. But if he goes out there and he does well and they win a couple games, what's all those same fans going to say? Oh, they're going to say, oh, Shedeur is amazing. He should have been playing from day one. He's the best player of all time. He should be in the Hall of Fame with his dad. So this is the people just move the goalposts. So if you like a player in sports and that player is doing great, it's because that player is amazing. But when that player is losing, it's because the team's bad. You can't pick and choose if you're the guy. This is just a rule of life. If you call yourself the guy or you call yourself the girl, you're the main person and you're the shit, then all the credit you want when you win, you get the same amount of blame when you lose. It's not, let me blame the team when I lose, but when I win, it's all about me. But if and when Shedeur Sanders plays, whether it's this year, next year, whatever, whether it's for Cleveland or any other team in the NFL, this is what's going to happen. I'm already telling y'all exactly what's going to happen. I'm predicting the future. When he has success, everybody's going to say it's because he's amazing. It's all about him personally. And when he fails, it's because of the team. It's because they set him up to fail. Guaranteed that's going to happen. And on some level, just a little bit of me feels bad for him, because he's never going to be fairly evaluated by the masses of football fans. He's never going to get a fair evaluation. The reason he won't get a fair evaluation is because, first of all his fans, and including his dad, who played in the NFL, who knows better, might be blinded by the fact that it's his own blood and he can't keep it real and tell the truth. And then you combine that with the fact that a whole bunch of analysts in the NFL are afraid to say anything seriously critical of this kid because he's black and his dad's Deion Sanders, and they have a whole lot of media momentum behind them and him. And if you're a white guy in the NFL, around the NFL, talking about him, you say something cross about him, you're going to get a ton of backlash from a whole bunch of fans. And a lot of people don't want to deal with that backlash even on social media, even on their phones. They don't want to deal with the backlash. So they won't keep it real and be honest about this kid. Now, there are some people who will, but a lot of people won't. So because of that, I don't think Shedeur is ever going to be fairly evaluated by the masses when it comes to football. So are we ever really going to know from the masses where this guy stands? Unfortunately, I don't think we will. But I think this is still a results-based business. And the results say he ain't that good. The draft said he ain't that good. Because if you could be the biggest head case in the world and have all kinds of off the court, off the field issues, but if you're good enough talent-wise, they'll still pick you and you'll still be on the field or on the court and you'll still get to do your thing. Why? Because you're just that good. We've seen plenty of players who fit this description. They were not. There was a whole bunch of red flags around them, but because they were so good, they still got drafted early. They still got to play early, and they still performed early. He's not those things because, again, he ain't that good. In life, you are your results. I can't remember who it was that said it, but they said you are your record. So if a football team says, we believe we're better than this, but your team's terrible, you are your record. You are what the scoreboard says. That's the way it works in sports. Those of you spectators and fans and racial idolaters defending Shedeur Sanders, you are your results in the sports world. You are not what you say. You are what the results say. You're what the scoreboard says. Scoreboard says you lost, you lost. Scoreboard says your team's terrible, your team's terrible. If the scoreboard says you got drafted in the 5th round, you are a 5th round player, period. If the depth chart says you're the 3rd string quarterback, you are a 3rd string quarterback. Until or unless you prove otherwise, that's what you are. You are what the results say. In the sports world, that's how it goes. In the sports world, you are what's in black and white. Your record, your draft position, where you are on the depth chart, your stats, whatever you want to say, whatever's in black and white, that's who you are. You can talk all day, but you can't talk your way around what's in black and white. Now, many scouts believed before the draft, they said that Shedeur Sanders doesn't have that great size. His arm strength is not that good. He's not very consistent. He's not a great decision maker. And he doesn't have the athleticism to be a long-term starting quarterback in the NFL. I heard many scouts say this about Sanders. Now, at the same time, you see a lot of analysts saying the exact opposite. Like, this guy's a can't-miss superstar. So that's why I say you'll never get a really fair evaluation, because for every person who comes out and they claim to be objectively critiquing this kid's game, you're going to get 3 other people coming out and saying, well, no, they're just hating on him, and they're just saying this because they don't like him or his confidence or whatever other bullshit people want to say. But again, the bottom line here, folks, is I've told you all many times, if you're new around here, I'm an absolutist on several things. One thing I'm an absolutist on is parenting. Your kid's your choice. So if this is the way Deion chose to raise his son, it's his right. I don't agree with it, but it's his right to do it. He does what he wants to do. It's his kid. I mean, he's an adult now, but you raised him that way. That's who he became. I'm an absolutist when it comes to performance and the results. You are measured by your results. You judge a tree by its fruits. If I walk past a tree and I see a whole bunch of apples on the ground around the tree, then I have to judge that tree as an apple tree. If I walk past a tree and I see a bunch of oranges on the ground, I must judge the tree as an orange tree. If I see a bunch of avocados, I got to judge the tree as an avocado tree. So you walk past the tree of Shedeur Sanders, it ain't nothing on the ground, it ain't producing nothing. All right, bottom line, period. There's no fruit. You ain't produced nothing. That's the bottom line. Now, some say, well, his career just started. He's a rookie. He's only been 4 games. He's on a team where he's a 3rd string quarterback. He's a 5th round pick. He hasn't gotten a chance yet. I agree with you on all of those things. And with my agreement is, again, the mandate for results. The result is you've produced nothing. So be quiet. You shouldn't be talking more than you're producing. That's the way it works in sports. You should not be producing more headlines than you had completed passes. You should not have more posts on social media than you had points in the game last night. Period. You haven't done anything yet. Stop fucking talking. Stop speaking. Don't mime anything. Don't do anything that draws any attention to you. You are a 3rd string quarterback. You are to be seen and not heard until further notice. Now, if there was anybody with any backbone in the Cleveland Browns organization, they would say that to him in front of the whole fucking team. Dude, you ain't even playing. Why do you keep doing stuff that draws attention? Or do you know how to be quiet? Do you know how to be boring? Do you know how to get bland, simple answers that the media can't run with? Do you know how to do that? Okay, then start doing it, or we're going to cut your ass. You're going to be a free agent, and let's see if any other team in the league wants you. If anybody had any balls in the Cleveland Browns organization, they'd be saying that to him right now. I don't think they do. And this is why we are where we are. I appreciate them for that, because if they had done that, then we'd be having a different conversation here today. So the fact they haven't done it allows me to talk about this. So league demands are steep, and a lot of talented college quarterbacks never make it in the NFL. Just because you put up stats in college does not mean you're going to play in the NFL, let alone be good. There's a whole lot of good college quarterbacks who don't make it in the NFL. How many college football quarterbacks are there right now? How many NFL quarterbacks are there? There's only 32 jobs in the NFL. And every team has a backup. So 32 times 2, 64 quarterback jobs in the NFL. How many college football quarterbacks are playing right now? A couple hundred? Everybody can't make it. Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur, might not make it. He just might not make it. This is what it is. I'm not saying he might never get a chance, but when he gets a chance, he might not be that good. And he ain't that good with whatever amount of chance he gets. That might be all he gets. And then it's a wrap. So some defend him as forging his own path. Shedeur Sanders, he's forging his own path. I say, well, you can't forge a path, you're not playing. What's he forging a path to? The bench? There's no path to forge when he's sitting on the bench. They say he's not just riding his father's name. I don't think he's just riding his father's name. I think the fact that his father draws more attention to him than he otherwise would be getting. But he doesn't seem to have a problem with it. And they say that any criticism about Shedeur is trying to diminish his individuality. Again, folks, he's not an Instagram influencer. He's a football player. So some of you who are defending Shedeur, I guess you call yourself defending him. This is not Instagram. This is not social media. He's not a podcaster. This is sports. And in the sports world, the bottom line is the scoreboard. Bottom line is not what you say. Bottom line is not what you posted on the internet. Bottom line is not what the media says. The bottom line is what you produced on the field, court, track, pool, etc. What has he produced? The answer for all of us is exactly the same. The answer is nothing, period. Not nothing but, not nothing because, nothing, period. You are your results in the sports world. So some of you whose only experience in sports is watching it on TV, be quiet and play your position. The position is you're a spectator. Listen to someone who knows the game. Knows meaning I've done it. You are your results. Not what you say, not what you think you could do, not what you would do if, what you did, period. And what you are doing right now. When he gets his chance, okay, let's look at that. He hasn't gotten his chance yet. And sometimes in sports, here's another thing, you don't get a chance. Sometimes you never get a chance. Sometimes you come into the NFL, you get on a roster as a backup, second string, third string, fourth string, whatever. You never make it to the first string. You never make it to the point that you get to play all the time to show what you could do with a full-time opportunity. Sometimes you never get the full-time opportunity. And that's it. And your career is over. Sometimes it goes like that. Those of you who watch sports, is this true? There are some players who get into baseball, they get into the minor leagues. They never really get a full-time chance in the major leagues as a starter every single day, and they never get the chance. Then their career is over, and that's it. They never got a chance. In the NFL, some players are backups their whole career, and that's it. In the NBA, some players are backups their whole career. Sometimes that's the way it goes. And some people may say, well, you never get a full-time chance as a starter, then we never knew what you were capable of doing. Maybe. Sometimes you're a backup your whole career for a reason. Let's consider that as well. The same reason that some of you you may like football, you may like basketball, but you never got a chance to play in college, you never got a chance to play in the pro. Why? Because maybe you just ain't that good. Maybe that's the reason why you never got a full-time chance, because you just ain't that talented. Is that possible? Of course it is. Sometimes you don't get to play at a certain level as much as you want to play because you're just not that good to where you even deserve the opportunity. That is possible. Just because you're in the NFL does not mean you deserve to be a full-time starter for a whole season. Sometimes you're in the NFL because you're there to be a backup. That's about as good as we see you as. And if the people who make the decisions about who plays and who doesn't don't see you as a starter, well, guess what? You ain't starting. You want to be a starter and you want to go your way, okay, start your own league, and then you could be a starter in your own league. But the game is the game. And again, his dad was a starter. His dad started his whole career. His dad never came off the bench. His dad was never a backup. His dad was a starter his whole career. Why? Because his dad was good. And it was obvious. As soon as he walked on the field, it was obvious his dad was the best player on the field. As soon as he walked on the field, it was obvious his whole career. So you can't say they're just trying to hate on any individual person. And again, his dad put himself out there pretty well. Again, let's take another look at Dad. This is Dad. Before he played in the game, this is Dad. They didn't hate on him. They didn't collude to stop him. What's the difference? Everybody see this? Here's Dad. What's the difference? Ain't no difference. That's why there's no answer to the question. So when your father's Deion and you're carrying yourself as if you're him, the comparisons are inevitable. I just made the comparison again. And again, legacy can give you a platform, but it also leads to sharper scrutiny. Okay, you want to carry yourself like your dad? All right. You're playing quarterback, though. All right, we're gonna look at you and see. Okay, let's look at your dad. Let's look at you. Can't say it's confidence. Let's look at your dad. Can't say it's arrogance. Look at your dad. Can't say it's because you believed in yourself. Look at your dad. He had all those things. Dion had all those times 10 compared to Shedeur. Seems much more calmer personality than Deion Sanders. I remember Dion when he was playing. Shedeur seems to have a much more calmer, not as attention drawing personality as his dad. So his dad was doing everything people say Shedeur's doing times 10, but he was playing. Why Shedeur on the bench? There's only one answer, folks. It's not hate. Again, why did they hate on Dion in 1989? Talent, ability. That's what it is. That's the difference. All this said, let's get to the comments. I'm sure there's some of you have something to say about what I've had to say here today. Let's get to it. First of all, let me go to the restroom. Give me 90 seconds here. I need to take a restroom break. I drink a lot of water in the morning. Get up and work out. So let me take a restroom break. Then we'll get to some of my favorite sounds like
Strawberry cheesecake.
or
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
or
Emotional, damn it.
or 90 seconds, folks. I'll be right back.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Let's get to it. So let's see what we got over on YouTube. There's a lot of comments coming through. I'm not reading all these comments, but let's see. R. Biko said, "Do you think that his father never had him around various types of football minds? What does that have to do with anything? His dad was the head coach, is the point. Various types of football minds. I don't even know what you mean by that. Every football team has multiple coaches. The head coach, every team he played for his whole life until now was his dad, which is the point that I made. Tommy said he was trained by the best. Well, Tommy, we could have you trained by the best, but if you have no talent, it doesn't matter who you're trained by." R. Biko said, "I'm confused by this tape because it implies that there is some non-human system for moving up a depth chart. What does that even mean? That's a non sequitur."
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
You said, like, you could be Tom Brady and get benched because a guy was drafted ahead of you. Well, first of all, he didn't get benched. He was drafted as a 5th round quarterback, so he wasn't benched. He was put right into the slot based on the way that he was chosen. And the way you move up a depth chart is opportunity is 1, your performance in practice is 2, and whatever the coaches think about you is 3. That's the way it works in sports. R. Biko said, "Pro football is only partly merit based. Merit gets you in the building, but politics sometimes gets you on the field." This is not true. That's not true.
You're not
Non-sequitur.
that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Politics can get you in the room. Politics is what get you in the room. You actually have it backwards. Let's see. Let's see. R. Biko said, "We're going to ignore his team regressed in talent and his coach who had other shots after wasn't that good." Who are you talking about? I don't know what you're referring to there. R. Biko said, "Cam said on his show that he could never be a backup, and that's why he left. His aura is a leader and a star." Okay, well, let's just say Cam said that. I didn't hear it, but let's take your word for it, R. Biko, that Cam said that. Fine. It was why his career ended. He can never be a backup, and that's why he left. His aura is a leader and a star. Okay, well, your aura can be whatever you want your aura to be, but when you're no longer a star, then they kick your ass out. Was exactly what happened to Cam Newton. So if Cam's happy with it, I'm happy with it. Let's see. Arbico says Bill liked talent and leveraged his ego. Would have loved making Shedeur fit into the Pats way. No, not necessarily. Of course, every NFL team wants talent. You need talent to win games, but talent also has to fit into the system. Bill Belichick had a system that everybody had to fit into. It started at the top with his quarterback, who was Tom Brady. Read up on the Patriots. You'll learn. Comment is, how many in the room are industry mandated to talk and be made available if it's requested? All of them. Everybody is. If you're requested, you talk. That's media availability. That's part of sports. Shedeur has less pull if media is asking and the team is okay. No, it's not about pull. It's about give a boring, bland answer so that the media stops asking you questions and you stop providing sound bites, which I explained. I think I explained that pretty thoroughly. All right, so I'm reading a few of these comments on YouTube. There's a lot of them. I can't read all of them. One Punch Man said NFL collusion. Yes, so the NFL colluded. Let's pick another black guy, make him a millionaire, and give him a job in our league because we don't like him. Sounds great.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Miss K.C. Nicole said, I wish people would direct this energy towards the Browns organization. They have mistreated him since he got there. You should do research before trying to get clicks. Miss K.C. Nicole, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Be quiet.
Strawberry cheesecake.
All right, so over on Instagram, and then I'm going to come to TikTok. One Finesse Boy said, when are you going to do a collab with other podcasters or guests? Like who? Give me a name. You said you got the sauce, people just sleep. Who I need to do a collab with? And on what subject? All right, so we're going over to TikTok, and let's see. Kimmy said, he said to slice the competition in a way that was interesting. I don't know what you're referring to. Jay Rocker said, Deion co-signed it. Deion co-signed what? Deion doesn't have any power when it comes to what's happening in the NFL. Let's see. Simika Thomas said, who are the bad influences? I just told you. His older brother and his dad. They're in his ear. And when they're in his ear, the team is looking at that and saying, these are the guys in his ear. Let's look at the way these guys are talking. They're going to have him thinking that he deserves to be a star, but we don't think he's going to be a star. He's going to be a backup. We can't have a backup quarterback who thinks he's a star and can't be humble enough to be a backup. Therefore, let's not even have him on the team in the first place. He's not worth the headache. It was exactly why he got passed over to the 5th round. It all adds up when you think about it. Jay Rocket said he didn't fall due to his talent. No, of course he did. If he was super duper talented, even with everything that I've said about what I theorize about his mindset, he would have been picked in the 1st round. Again, look at his dad. His dad had all the confidence, all the cockiness, all the other stuff. He still got picked number 5 pick overall in the draft. Because when you have enough talent, it doesn't matter. Live Free said, Shedeur is better than Flacco and should be ahead of him in the depth chart. Okay, well, do you work for the Cleveland Browns? Go make a phone call. Who you think he is better than doesn't really matter. I mean, if you really think about it, does it matter? Answer is it doesn't. Greg said NFL teams don't want to deal with Deion, and that's why his son dropped in the draft. I didn't say that. Straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Kimmy said, what do these guys get paid generally? You can Google salaries of the NFL. That's public information. Kim J said, everyone should have a huge dose of self-confidence. If you don't, you're your own problem. Okay, fair enough. I am a fan of the concept of confidence. Now, how you use that confidence, where you're using it, when you're using it, and in what context, those are the parts we're talking about here today, not the idea of confidence versus no confidence. Kimmy said, is it enough to support a family? It depends. How many people in your family and how do you live? Yo, Kirk, thanks for the share. Ranzer said, Cleveland will let him go in 2 years just like they have done with other good quarterbacks. Well, Ranzer, Cleveland has also let some bad quarterbacks go. So just because you let a quarterback go doesn't mean you did something wrong. Let's be fair about the Cleveland Browns. Kim J said, your thought process is one I can't get with. Have a good day. Well, Good seeing you, Kim J. See you later. CCTV said, imagine sitting in front of an iPhone, think you're going to change the world. I don't know what you're referring to, but okay. Marky Man said he's a legend in his own mind. He has a right to be. He can think that if he wants to. Anybody can think whatever they want. That's a good thing about thinking, is that nobody can tell you what to think. Serenity said Colorado even retired Shedeur's number. Yeah, they shouldn't have retired his number. But again, your dad's the coach. So I understand that they did it because of Deion. And that's the I don't even know what word, the grandiosity that Deion has. I don't think it was a good idea. Mr. Ohio said flamboyant clothing. Oh, is that a way? Yeah, flamboyant is a good way to describe Cam's clothing. Javine Hanna, thanks for the follow. Kimmy said, the only football player I remember is Barry Sanders. Simica said, Cam Ward is what? What are you referring to? Sam Darcy, thank you. Said, looking tighty, thank you. Live Free said, hey, if any long-term starter quarterback become a short-term backup, I would say no. But what's the question? Has any long-term starter become a short-term backup? Yes, they have. How much football have you watched? A lot of quarterbacks who become starters were sitting on the bench before they became long-term starters. Patrick Mahomes, for example, sat on the bench for an entire season or two before he had a chance to play. Look at him now. So just because you've been a backup doesn't mean you can't be a starter, but it depends. Speaker of Truth said, why are they asking him? Everybody gets asked questions. Why do you know about what he said is the question you should be asking. Everybody in the locker room, a lot of people in the locker room get asked questions. The only one you know about is the one that ends up going viral. That's because of what the person is saying. So if the person who's being asked gives a boring answer, the answer won't go viral. You won't know that they got asked a question. A lot of people get asked questions. You don't even know they got asked a question because their answer is so boring that it doesn't make its way to you. Des said, you acting like he chasing the cameras. I've already addressed that very strongly here, so that's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
The straw man, by the way, is a logical fallacy when someone, usually when they disagree with you, they repurpose what you said into something that you didn't say, and then they argue against the cheap version of your point. And they say it in a form of sarcasm or incredulity on the form of a question. So a few of you have done that already here today. So when you hear that sound,
Strawberry cheesecake.
it's because somebody just straw man my point. Angela said you should be quiet, humble, and wait your turn while working as hard as you can at the same time. I'll add that in. Des said the media is going to him. So his brother has a full service media company. So he's asking for the media. So you ask for it, you get it. You call for attention, you can't hang up. Daisy Sparks, thanks for the share. Just Right said Nick Fairley was on Auburn defense drafted top 12 at the time. Well, I guess it was the offense then. If it wasn't the defense, then it was the offense. David Seabrook says Sanders is perfect for 2025 NFL. What do you mean he's perfect? What does that mean? Simica Thomas said, yes, sir, master is what you're saying, basically.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
So that's the ad hominem.
Strawberry cheesecake.
The straw man and looks like a
emotional, damn it.
Appeal to emotion. So you get the first Russell Westbrook triple-double award of the day, Simica.
Oh, baby, a triple. Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir, master. What does that even mean? I guess you're referring to slavery, but what does anything that I'm saying here today have to do with white people at all? We're talking about, I'm a black person talking about a black quarterback in the NFL. And I don't have a boss. I don't answer to anyone. So who am I saying yes, sir, master to? The answer is nobody. I only have a boss. You probably have a boss. So if anybody's saying yes, sir, master, it'll probably be you, not me. Kimmy said it's genuinely a feature of neurodivergence. What does that even mean? Let's see. Some say he could say no comment. And then they say, well, if he says no comment, he would get bashed. Well, he can say what I already said. I gave y'all a perfect example of what he can say. I'm glad that my teammates getting the opportunity. Our big job here as a team is to win games, and we want to turn this around and turn this into a successful season. So my job as the third stringer is to help the quarterback, the starter, get ready for the upcoming opponent. And that's what I'm going to do the best job of, and I'm going to support my teammate, and hopefully we can win our next game. Period. End of quote. Anybody can say that. So he doesn't have to say no comment. He can respond. He can say that. David said, why be boring? Because it's not your job to draw attention when you're a backup quarterback. That's why. Greg said, always make it about the team and not yourself. Exactly. David said, you're telling the most famous third-string quarterback on the planet to be quiet. LOL. All right, so here's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
David, there's no such thing as being a famous third string quarterback. That's a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And you clearly don't understand the dynamics of team sports leaving this comment. But you're free to leave a comment. So I appreciate you engaging, but what you're saying doesn't make any sense. You don't know what you're talking about. Perfect Storm BC said, in my opinion, you are so spot on with Shedeur. Humble is the word, doesn't have it. Yeah, and the reason he doesn't have it because he learned from his dad, and his dad taught him, don't be humble, be like me. The problem is the blind spot that Deion Sanders, the dad, has is that his sons do not have his talent. So they can copy his mindset and they can copy his, what's the word I would use here? They can copy his presentation, but they don't have the talent to back it up. Deion was allowed to get away with that because he was so damn good, it didn't matter. His sons aren't that good, which is why two of his sons tried to play football. They ain't playing right now. And his third son is in the NFL and he ain't playing. But they're all trying to copy dad's mentality. The problem is they ain't got the other pieces to go with it. Mentality has to be matched by something tangible, folks. You can't just walk around with a certain mentality. You have nothing to back it up. That's the issue. Deion had the mentality and he could back it up. His sons got the mentality. They can't back it up. Black Moses said his black skin draws attention. You are earning your honorary white card. Black Moses, please. Are you really? Is that really the best you could come up with? You sat here and listened to me talk, and that's the best comment. You decide to actually type that with your fingers?
Is that like a personal attack or something? Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
His black skin draws attention. Black Moses, do you know the NFL has created more black millionaires than any other entity in the United States of America? So all of a sudden, some black kid who's a third stringer shows up in 2025, and now black skin is drawing attention. Black Moses, shut the fuck up.
Strawberry cheesecake.
This is one thing. If y'all like me using the soundboard, you should ask me to talk about anything involving race because you bring idiot black people up. That's one thing that is guaranteed to happen. Wrestler here said, not a quarterback. I bet he would be a good corner. I don't know. I have no reason to know that. Nikki said, I'm sorry you come off as hating on him as a black man. You should know better. See, didn't I just tell y'all this is going to happen?
Is that like a personal attack or something? Strawberry cheesecake.
I'm hating on him. Yes. And what are you doing? So if you're defending him, if I'm hating on him by offering objective criticism that I've laid out exactly why I'm criticizing, and you are, what do you call yourself doing? Because there's a term that we use for people who try to use this frame. I'm not even going to say it just yet. But
you're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
But we will give you the Russell Westbrook Award for even trying to come up with this frame. But we're not in high school here, so y'all got to come with some more better logic. If you're black in the comments here today, please come with something logical rather than the emotional argument of, oh, you're hating or you're trying to appease white people, or what's another one? Oh, well, they're only hating on him because he's black. Like, it's 2025, folks. Is that all y'all got? Like, come on.
Oh, baby, it's triple. Oh, yeah.
Black Moses said, now show Joe Namath with his fur coats. Black Moses, Joe Namath won a Super Bowl, so he could wear a fur coat. Deion Sanders wore a fur coat too. You know what Deion Sanders won? Super Bowls.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Amanda said, the most successful people had to believe in themselves so much that people think they are arrogant. I did a whole TED talk on that concept, Amanda, so I agree with what you're saying. But that has nothing to do with the topic here today. It's a straw man that people are putting out that you're supposed to be confident, as if that's the argument here today. The argument is not don't be confident. The argument is, do you know how to fit within team dynamics and team sports? Many of you leaving comments here know nothing about how team sports works. So it's okay to just be quiet if you don't know what you're talking about. But I will engage you because you're here leaving comments in this live. So I'll engage anyway.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Let's see. Bam Breeze Steve, thanks for the follow. User 8388, thanks for the share. Micah, thanks for the follow. Wifey said, tapping still not working for everyone. Well, let's get tapping the screen, folks. I don't know if we're going to get to 100K today, but tap the screen. Everybody who's in here, tap the screen. Kimmy said, leadership isn't about standing out or blending in. It's about leading. Yes, very good point. This is why what Deion Sanders Jr. said is a false binary. He's making it seem like it's between standing out or blending in. That's not the point. It's not about you blending in. It's about you playing your fucking role. Do you understand what that even means? And as a quarterback, the role is way different than any other position in football. And being that Deion and Deion Sanders Jr. and his other son, none of them played quarterback. They don't have the understanding of the quarterback position has a different mandate than the positions that they played. Frankenstein, thanks for the share. Barbie 007, good morning. Gary Gray said, if you're going to act like a clown, you better have skills. Warren Moon never acted like that. Well, he's not even acting. I wouldn't even go as far as say he's acting like a clown. It's just that he's drawing attention in ways that he shouldn't be. That's the whole point. And Grammatico, good morning. B, the coach said, the problem is casual fans get blinded by celebrity status and can't see through the bull they spew. Well, B, the coach, the problem is casual fans are casual fans. They don't understand how sports works. And most fans don't understand how sports works. So especially if you mix emotion into the conversation, and there's a whole bunch of black people who see Shedeur Sanders as somehow, some way representing blackness, and supporting Shedeur as somehow supporting blackness and going against white people. I don't know how he got himself into this position, but he is entrenched there. So there's a whole bunch of black people who see supporting Shedeur as a way of proving your blackness, which makes a whole lot of black people who are too old to be making that mistake look stupid. But this is where we are. Papa Central said his situation is different. He's a quarterback. That alone changes the paradigm. That is correct. Manchester King said that's the way quarterbacks get judged. That's right. Kendrick Rose said, you're racist.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
User said, if he has no talent, then cut him and let him go play for someone else. Well, I don't work for the Cleveland Browns, number one. Number two, I didn't say he didn't have talent because he's in the NFL. So he has some level of talent.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And if someone else wanted him, user 99, did the NFL draft not just happen 6 months ago? Who wanted him? He got passed over by every team in the league 5 times. So your argument is a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And you get another Russell Westbrook award.
Oh, baby, it's triple. Oh, yeah.
Kendrick Rose said, what does race have to do with anything? Well, I just answered that question. Mr. Ohio J said, Bill Parcells said, you are your record. Yeah, it was Bill Parcells who said that. That's right. In sports, you are your outcomes. The scoreboard, the record, your draft position, your stats, all of those things. Kendrick said, you don't know anything about sports if you believe the draft determines how good you are. Well, first of all, I didn't say that. So that's another straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Secondly, Kendrick Rose, I have a nearly decade-long career actually playing professional sports, which I bet is longer than your career playing any sport.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
And if I got that wrong, Kendrick, you leave a comment and let me know. APTT said, under that logic, Tom Brady is a 6th-round pick. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. So that's not under any logic. That's just a black and white fact. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, or 5th round, whatever round he was picked. Then Tom Brady got on the field and he produced results and he won a bunch of Super Bowls. So that is also on his resume. His resume is where he was drafted. It's his wins and losses and his Super Bowls and everything else he achieved. Your resume is everything that you did. That's the way it works. So APTC, you said under that logic, as if you're appropriating this argument to mean something that it doesn't mean. It's exactly what I said. Micah said Tom Brady got results. Exactly. WK Good said, you don't believe in improvement with opportunity? Another straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
You improve when you get better. Opportunity does not necessarily mean that you'll improve. So let's just say somebody gave me an opportunity to play at the U.S. Open tennis or the U.S. Open of golf. If I got the opportunity, do you think I'm going to improve at golf or tennis just because I got the opportunity? Answer is probably not, because I haven't done the work. I haven't done the work to be good at golf or to be good at tennis. If I want to get good at golf or tennis, what I need to do is go to the park or to the golf course and actually start practicing with a trainer so I can get improvement. You don't need an opportunity to get improvement. What you need is to do the work in a certain way, in a certain environment with the right type of training. That's the way it works in sports. It's not that the opportunity is the reason you get better. Opportunity is when you show that you've gotten better. Opportunity is not the thing that makes you get better. And that's the way it works in the sports world. Papa Central said he did a great job raising him. No red flags, drugs, bad behavior. That's a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Well, you don't know how somebody did raising someone as a parent if you're not there every single day. My argument was not about Deion Sanders' job as a parent. As I said very clearly, I'm an absolutist when it comes to parenting. Your child, your choice. I don't know how Deion raised him. What I said is that he taught his son his mentality when it came to sports. And his son is copying the mentality, yet he doesn't have the talent. I am not speaking on Deion's parenting skills. I don't know how he parented his son. So the fact that we don't know about any red flags, drugs, or behavior, depends on what you mean by red flags or bad behavior. That has nothing to do with the conversation. This is not a parenting conversation. It's an athletic and performance conversation. Lin, thank you for the lightning bolts. Tank Guy said, what should he do when they shove mics in his face? He should answer the questions boringly and blandly such that there are no sound bites that come from his answers. That's what he should do. Trizzy said, Kenny Pickett was terrible. Yeah, that's another example. Papa Central said he's tired of the BS. He has handled himself well. Ridiculous that he ended up in Cleveland. Who's tired of the BS? You talking about Shedeur Sanders? What BS? What are you talking about? He's a 5th-round pick. You don't get to make demands unless you are in demand, Papa Central. Have you ever played a sport? You sound like I'm not even going to say what you sound like. But what you said doesn't make any sense. So let's just give you a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Ridiculous that he ended up in Cleveland. Actually, he should be thankful because otherwise he might not have gotten drafted. Did you see the draft? Googleplex said he has opportunity at practice, films. Yes, exactly. Trizzy said baseball has 7 leagues until MLB. You need some luck. Maybe 5% of it is luck. 95% of it is skill. All right. Derek Jeter was in the minor leagues. How did he end up playing for the Yankees? Because he could play. The fact that you can play matters more than luck or somebody giving you, quote unquote, an opportunity. Many of you clearly have never played a sport at any level that matters. A bunch of you are talking about sports as if somehow it's some random lottery that you just get handed an opportunity and that's how you end up good. If you can't play, it doesn't matter. Marky said the coaches see his ability on the practice field and in game film. He ended up a 5th-round pick because they watched the film from when he played in college. Van Buckeye says some 5-stars never start in college. Yeah, because they get to college and everybody's good, and they might not be as good as their film looked. Also, you got to remember that when you're playing in high school, your high school competition is different than everybody else's high school competition. So just because you look good against your high school comp doesn't mean you're going to be good against everybody who got selected, that natural selection that brings everybody to college, that funnel. So let me see over on Instagram. One finesse boy said, $1 million worth of game, Club Shay Shay, T Time, or any sport basketball podcast. Well, those guys do interviews, so it wouldn't be a collab. It'd be like if they want to have me on their show as an interview. So I've heard of some of those shows. I don't really watch. Do I watch any of these shows? No, I've seen clips of all those guys, but I don't really watch any of them. I know who you're talking about, though. I don't have a specific topic for you to talk on. I just think you should be in those rooms. Those guys are more entertainment, honestly, finesse boy. You may get into politics, government stuff. I'm not getting into politics, government. This is as far as I'm going, what you see me doing on these live streams. I'm not getting into politics or government. That's not happening. Butterbean said he's 22. All right, fair enough. Spastic Kitty said, played college baseball and knew that it was for me. People need to learn to accept it. Yes. Texas Survival said, shit, pay me to sit on the bench. As long as you're willing to practice hard. B, the coach said, the Prime family loves attention. They are masters of building their narrative in the media. Well, what do you mean they? Who's they? There's only one person. B, the coach is only one person, Deion. His son ain't do nothing. His other son didn't do nothing. And Shedeur ain't doing nothing. It's one guy. He just has 3 sons. It's one guy with 3 sons. So it seems like it's a family thing. There's only one guy who performed. That was Deion Sanders. The rest of them ain't do nothing. B, the coach said, the Prime family acts like Shedeur is the first confident black quarterback ever. Well, it's the Deion Jr. who's the one who seems to be pushing that line of reasoning. Deion, the dad, he touches on it. He doesn't push it as much as the son. The son is out here sounding dumb. He shouldn't be talking too much. And B said, you can't come into someone else's space and demand they walk to your tune. Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like he's made any demands. I haven't heard him making any demands, but we'll see. Jay said, we're not arguing in politics. People aren't interested. Well, according to what TikTok says, I've had 2,700 people watching this live. So that seems like a significant number as far as I'm concerned. But if you're not interested, Jay Rocker, why are you in here leaving comments? Move on. Papa Central said, ridiculous. Why are you so negative towards Sanders? He's demonstrated his talent. I'm not being negative towards him. I'm giving you an objective observation from someone who understands sports and I have the ability to articulate my understanding. He's demonstrated his talent. What talent has he demonstrated? He demonstrated enough talent to go play Division I college football and to get drafted to the NFL. I didn't say he didn't have talent. I say he doesn't have his dad's talent. I think I've said that like 10 times here.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And you saying I'm being negative towards him. Again, this is a feminine frame. And this is what I expect from women and children. Papa Central, you appear to be an adult male. So this is disappointing me.
Is that like a personal attack or something? You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I understand if a female or a child says you're being negative towards someone just because you're offering a objective, at least I'm trying to be objective criticism. But to say that I'm being negative or I'm hating on him just because I'm offering some criticism of somebody who you're a fan of and you're an adult male, again, I don't like this. This is the feminization of society that when men start doing this. I don't mind when a female or a child does it because that's their nature, but I don't like when men do that. So Papa Central, cut it out. Vito says, Shedeur not starting is a good thing. He gets to grow physically and mentally, not thrown to the wolves. Yes, it actually could be great for him. Patty Mahomes didn't even start his first year or maybe 2 in the NFL. And now he's a superstar. Be the Coach said, Prime fans are the most delusional people on earth. Yeah, I don't even think they're really Prime fans, Be the Coach. I think Prime, Dion, and by extension his kids have done a great job of positioning themselves as rooting for us means you're going against the white man. Which is funny because Dion left an HBCU to go work at a white college, and Dion played in the NFL and made probably his most money playing for Jerry Jones. But interestingly enough, they had pulled it off. So I don't know how they did that. Papa Central said, you're being ridiculously controversial on purpose. No, nothing I'm saying is controversial. Your response to it can make it to a controversy. Not a controversy just because somebody says something. Something I say is neutral. Your response and my response to your response is what turns it into controversy. Controversy requires some sort of conflict, but nothing I say by myself is controversial. Be the Coach said Cam Newton was confident and went number 1. Oh, he didn't go number 1 because he was confident. He went number 1 because he was very good. Sandra said, can we form our own leagues like we did in the past? We integrated and lost the table. Well, Sandra, you should find out how the integration actually happened. Our own leagues like in the past. The only league we formed in the past, Sandra, I'm assuming you're talking black people, was the Negro baseball leagues. And the Negro baseball leagues was in negotiation with Major League Baseball, MLB, that we have now. And the Negro leagues were in negotiation to merge. And what was going to happen is MLB was going to absorb a whole bunch of Negro League baseball teams. That's what was going to happen. What happened instead is that one guy crossed the line and he decided to be the first black guy to go play in the MLB, the Major League Baseball. That guy's name was Jackie Robinson. When Jackie Robinson signed with the Dodgers to play in Major League Baseball said, well, now we solved our problem of having a black player. Now we're not going to absorb the Negro League team. So they just dropped that idea, and a whole bunch of Negro League players got left out in the cold because Jackie Robinson crossed the line. He didn't hold the line. He crossed the line and went and signed with the white man. And that's why the Negro Leagues did not get absorbed into the Major League. So Jackie Robinson, even though he is often celebrated as a hero, he actually sold out his fellow black players. That is a fact. So, yeah, we did start a league until one black guy crossed the line. And y'all can go look that one up. Sean said quarterback has a different connotation for the NFL. Well, quarterback has a different connotation at any level of football. User said, if you don't believe in yourself, who will? I agree. Red Dog said, teamwork makes the dream work. Not everyone understands the concept. I think people understand it. It's just a matter of what else do people care about? They may have other priorities. Yes, everybody tap the screen. We're at 60,000. Michelle said Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was on the bench too for a little bit. Kurt Warner was on the bench. Well, Kurt Warner came in kind of randomly. He almost wasn't going to play in the NFL. Marky Man said, great quarterbacks that sat the bench took the opportunity to learn from the veterans. Yes, that's true. Long Drive said, Kanye said, you can't tell me nothing. If he play, they would play him. Seek first to be understood. I don't understand what you mean by that, Long Drive. King George III said, Dre, you came and spoke to our G League team. Yeah, I don't know who you are, King George, but I do remember speaking to the G League. I spoke to every team in the league, whatever year that was that I did that. So I do remember that. DG said he played in the trash conference and still barely won. King George, what team were you on? What team in the G League you play for? Raider Romo said, you ain't one of them. Who you talking about? One of who? Long Drive, thanks for the lightning bolt. DG said, the quarterback's face of the franchise. They don't understand the dynamics. They don't understand the levels of college football. True. Jeb said fifth round should be humbling. Yeah. If you're expecting to go in the first round, you go in the fifth round, that would be humbling. Now, if you're expected to go in the fifth and you go in the fifth, then I guess it's normal. Erden the man said, "Why do I know you?" I don't know. I don't know who you are, so you tell me. J. Rocket said Brady got results when he got a chance to play on the field. Nick, he got results when he got a chance to play on the field. That's why Brady is Brady. He got a chance to play on the field because he was ready for his opportunity as well. All that stuff matters. Leon said, "So you're saying, y'all know what this leads to." He said, "So you're saying he's not improving." We know that's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Not what I said. I don't even know what you're responding to. Let's see. Leah, thank you for the lightning bolt. And you reached the member level 13. Congrats, Leah. Thank you for the Go Populars, too. You filled up the gift basket today, Leah. I appreciate you. So let's see. Sir Dennis says Sanders has, that was the title. I don't mean that kind of cancer. I mean cancer like a cancer to the team. That's what they say in sports. Sports lingo, you call somebody a cancer, it means their presence is bad for the group. That's what cancer means, not cancer like the sickness. Rudy said, "What about Earn Your Leisure podcast?" What about it? Long Drive, thank you for the chili. Said, "What about you naming podcast? What about them?" I'm sorry, said, "No red tie today." I don't wear a red tie every day. I got a closet full of ties. G Black, thank you for the heart. Me, good to see you in here. Dark Child says, "So don't have an opinion as a man." Another strawberry cheesecake. I don't know what you're responding to, but I didn't say anything like this. Every human being has a million opinions. Now, where you got your opinions from, why you have those opinions, when and where and to whom you share those opinions all matter more than whether or not you have one. So, Dark Child, your question is basically very juvenile. Carpe Diem says someone has to approve those interviews. No, they don't. That's media availability. This is not a scheduled interview. It's media availability is what they call it in sports. So what you're talking about is a different thing. The media is allowed into the locker room. The players are in the locker room, and they can come up to whoever they want and ask a question. That's the way it works. Nina C929 said, "Thank you for the education on Jackie Robinson." Yeah, Jackie Robinson was a sellout. He sold out black baseball players. Rudy Notre Dame said, "Facts, look it up." Vito said, "Host is undefeated." Well, thank you. Christopher said, "Sanders getting blackballed. I think Deion is responsible." Christopher, you can't be getting blackballed when you actually have a job. Blackballed is when they won't even let you play. He's not getting blackballed. That's ridiculous.
Emotional, damn it.
J. Rocker said, "Bledsoe got it. Brady got a chance and Bledsoe got hurt." Yeah, he got a chance. He was ready for his opportunity. When it came, he was ready. So when he got on the field, he was so good that he never got back off the field. He was ready for his opportunity, and there was no guarantee that opportunity was going to happen. Bledsoe didn't get hurt. He might not have got a chance to play. Sometimes that's how it goes. Christopher said, "I think Robinson did look after himself. I don't see the problem." I didn't say it was a problem. I just said he was a sellout. Now, you want to be a sellout, there's no problem. If you don't have a problem with it, neither do I. Just yesterday, I told you Jay-Z was a sellout. And I think Jay-Z's the best rapper. You be a sellout if you want to. Jackie Robinson, if the frame is, and this is the way a lot of black people talk about it, the frame is black people can build their own thing, and either you don't need the white man's dollars or you force the white man to come and take on all of our stuff so we all get something. Jackie Robinson sold out black baseball players because he went by himself to join the MLB and left the rest of the Negro League players out to dry because the MLB was going to take on all of the Negro League. When Jackie Robinson went and signed with the Dodgers, they decided they didn't need to do that anymore because they already satisfied the public calls to have a black player in baseball. As soon as they got Jackie, they said, "All right, we're good. We got Jackie Robinson." Now, eventually more black players came on, but there's a whole lot of black players in the Negro Leagues who never got a chance, who would have gotten a chance had the MLB had to absorb the entire Negro League, or most of them. That didn't happen because Jackie Robinson crossed the line and he went and signed in the MLB. Jackie Robinson was a sellout. Again, I'm not saying that makes him a bad person, but he was a sellout. Just the objective truth. So let's see. Deuce said, "I'm working and listening. You make much sense. Have a great day and weekend." Well, I appreciate it. Deuce Air Cav. Leah said, keep tapping. Y'all. Let's get as far as we can. Yes, I'll go about 5 more minutes here, folks. We'll be done at 10 o'clock. So while I'm waiting, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back on Monday. I think Monday, my prediction is, I don't know for sure, my prediction is we'll be talking about P. Diddy, because P. Diddy has a court date today, and he is supposed to be being told whether or not he is going to how much jail time he's going to get. So that's what's supposed to happen to Diddy today. The judge is going to tell him how much jail time he gets. Let's see when the court date is. And they're deciding, the judge is basically deciding how much time Diddy's going to get, because we know he got convicted on, I think, 2 out of the 5 counts that he had charged for. We talked about this a ton during the trial, which was like in May or June of this year. Then he got convicted on 2 of the charges, but probably the lesser of the 5, 2 of the 5 charges, but only the lesser of the 5 charges. And they carry a maximum of like 10 to 20 years, but the judge basically the judge can basically decide how much time you get in jail. It doesn't even matter what the suggestion is. The judge can decide you get 20 years. The judge can decide you get no years. The judge can decide fully. They got carte blanche. So Diddy's lawyers tried to say, let Diddy out of jail now, which was in early June, and then he'll come back to court in October, which is his court date is today. He'll come back to court in October, and you tell him how much time he gets. The judge said, I'll think about that. Then a bunch of people who were the victims, they wrote letters to the judge and said, don't let Diddy out of jail. Make his ass sit in jail between now, June, and October. Make him wait in jail, then give him a sentence. Don't let him get out of jail. The judge decided. Diddy said, let me out until court date. The victim said, don't let him out. The judge said, no, you can't get out. So Diddy's been sitting in jail the whole time after his conviction. So today the judge is going to tell him how much actual time he must serve. So right now he's already been in jail for like a year plus, something like that. So the judge is going to tell him, here's how much time you got. So if the judge says, Diddy, you got a year in jail, he already did a year in jail. So basically Diddy will walk out of court today a free man. Or if the judge says you get 5 years, now Diddy got to do 5 more years. Or if the judge says you get 20 years, now Diddy got to do 20 years. So today we're going to find out how much time Diddy gets. So this is going to be a big deal when we find out. So Monday, I'm predicting, barring any other bigger news, we'll probably talk about Diddy on Monday. That's just a prediction, but that could change. Every plan is subject to change. Okay, so Monday could be Diddy. Okay, but don't hold me to that, because something big might happen. I don't know. If the United States invades another country, we might talk about that on Monday. So that's where we're at. Annie said 5,000 taps by myself. LOL. Thank you, Annie, for pushing us up with the 5,000 taps. So G Black said, thank you for explaining the truth about Jackie Robinson. I got ridiculed for saying it in school. Yeah, so a lot of y'all know that. A lot of y'all know what Jackie Robinson did. Yeah, Jackie Robinson sold out black people. And he gets celebrated because he was the first black guy to go play in Major League Baseball. But that's the reality of what he did. Great for Jackie Robinson, not so great for everybody else. See, that's the thing. So anyway, y'all take that for what it's worth. All right, everybody. So make sure you text me at my number. My number is 305-384-6894. Victoria said Jackie Robinson destroyed black baseball. Pretty much. The Negro Leagues, his move destroyed the Negro Leagues, because Jackie Robinson, and here's the other thing, Jackie Robinson wasn't even the best player. A lot of people think Jackie Robinson was just the superstar, like he was Jordan of baseball. He wasn't the best. He was good. He wasn't the best player. The best players were other guys, and they were holding the line. Jackie Robinson went and crossed the line. Jackie Robinson was up there, but he wasn't the best guy. He was like an all-star, but he wasn't the superstar. And what's my point is that somebody made a comment earlier about Jackie Robinson. They made a comment about black people starting their own leagues instead of trying to go and play for the white man's league. So I brought up Jackie Robinson because Jackie Robinson has a reputation of being this person who was this pioneer for black people, because he went and became the first one playing in the major leagues. And the story is framed around Jackie Robinson was just this courageous guy who did this great thing for black people, when actually he was a sellout. He sold black people out. That's a reality. Leah said he sold out black people. Yes, Jackie Robinson sold out black people. A lot of black people know this story. It's not a popular story, but it is a true story. Jackie Robinson sold out black baseball players. That is a reality. Appreciate you, Michelle. Bendu said, I missed the Jackie topic. How? All right, let me tell the story one more time, then we'll wrap this up. In baseball, you had Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball was just white. Now, y'all understand. Yes, he's looked at as a legend still. That's the story, is Jackie Robinson was a legend. This is the whitewash education in America. If you talk to any black people who know their shit, and I'm saying this to all you who are white and some of you who are black, You talk to black people who know their shit. They will tell you stories that contradict the mainstream stories that are generally written by white people about black America. There's some mainstream stories about Martin Luther King that ain't true. That if you heard the real story from some black people that are conscious and know their shit, Martin Luther King was not some fucking hero. That's a different story for a different day. We're not going to do that here today. I'm just talking about Jackie Robinson. So in Major League Baseball was all white, right? Black people couldn't play Major League Baseball. They just didn't let black people in. That was what it was. You couldn't play baseball if you were black. So black people started their own baseball league called the Negro Leagues. Negro Leagues had a whole lot of very good players. There was a guy named Satchel Paige who was a pitcher, and there's several other guys. I can't remember all their names, but there were very good black baseball players, and they all played in Negro Leagues. So Negro Leagues was just black guys playing baseball. Major Leagues was white guys playing baseball. And the whole idea was, well, listen, there's some black guys who are good enough to play in the major leagues. And Major League was a bigger league. They had more resources, more money, more reach, etc. So there was a negotiation happening because eventually America saw, okay, let's let these black people integrate because they actually do have talent. They have skills. They can bring value. Hey, we've been racist in America. We haven't allowed black people to integrate with us. But listen, some of these athletes are actually very good. If we're going to say we're the best baseball league in the world, we can't block out the black guys because some of these guys are good. They're better than some of the white guys. So we got to let them play. So the whole conversation was, let's integrate the Negro Leagues into the Major League. So basically the Major League Baseball was going to absorb a bunch of Negro League teams into Major League Baseball, and they were going to mix all the black and white guys together. That was the plan. They were in negotiations to do this. And what happened is the black players were basically saying to each other, okay, look, we're going to hold the line and we're going to force them to accept all of us so that we all can eat. When Major League Baseball lets all of us in, we all make more money, we all benefit, and we all get a chance to play. That was the plan for the black players. What happened is one black guy named Jackie Robinson, he broke out of the pact, the unspoken pact amongst black players. He went and signed with a major league team by himself. He basically crossed the line, he signed, and he's heralded as this hero. We're going to make you like a hero, Jackie. You're the first black guy, and you're this courageous guy, and you broke the color barrier, et cetera, et cetera. Technically, he did break the color barrier, but what nobody tells you is that he sold out all of his friends in the Negro Leagues. Because when Jackie Robinson got signed, yes, they did go on and sign more black players, but they didn't sign all of them. And the majority of players who were playing in the Negro Leagues got left out to dry. Because at that point, Major League Baseball said, well, look, we solved this problem of signing the black people. We got a couple black guys. Forget about the Negro Leagues. And Negro Leagues basically diminished and fell apart. And a lot of those players never got a chance to play at the highest level of baseball because Jackie Robinson sold them out. So that's what Jackie Robinson did. Long story short, Jackie Robinson was a fucking sellout. He was not a hero for black people. But if you read the white man's version of the story, Jackie Robinson was a hero for black people. No, he wasn't. He was a sellout. He was the exact opposite. So that's what happened with Jackie Robinson. Anthony says, so is your job to destroy melanated men? Anthony, please. Go ask somebody you know. Go ask somebody your grandfather's age if Jackie Robinson was a sellout. They'll tell you. Elena says, so people just outright lied. What people are you talking about, Elena? The white man's version of the story of Jackie Robinson is not a true story. Jackie Robinson was a sellout. It's not the whole story. Let's say that. Did Jackie Robinson, was he the first black player in Major Leagues? Yes. Was it tough for him? Yes. Did he break the color barrier? Yes. Those are all true. Is that the whole story? No, it is not. Jackie Robinson was a sellout. That's a reality. Any of you go look it up. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. Go look it up yourself. Go ask an old black person. Go ask somebody who's like 60-something who's black the story of Jackie Robinson. See what they said. Don't take my word for it. So don't believe anything that I said. Elena said all people. Elena, what are you talking about? The story of Jackie Robinson. What's sellout? Sellout means when you leave your people out to dry just to help yourself out. That's what selling out means in this context. In this context. MLK story, I would suggest you go look up this guy named Chad O. Jackson. He did a whole documentary on Martin Luther King. The Jackie Robinson one is a short enough story that I can tell you. But go look up this guy named Chad O. Jackson. He did a documentary about Martin Luther King. That one I couldn't do. That documentary is like 2 hours long. Let him tell that story. He could tell it better than I can. So anyway, everybody, glad we got to that history lesson here today. So Monday, I'll be back. 8 a.m. Eastern is when I do these live streams, 8 a.m. Eastern. Again, all of y'all go verify that Jackie Robinson story. Go talk to an old black person. They'll tell you. So there you go. Perfect Storm NBC says it. Facts about Jackie Robinson. Go talk to an old black person. They'll tell you. Somebody who was born in you got to talk to somebody who's like 60 plus, about Jackie Robinson. They know. They'll tell you. So all y'all have a great weekend. I will see everybody Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Y'all have a great weekend. We out of here. Work on your game. Oh, yeah. Make sure you text me at the number in my profile, 305-384-6894. Daily motivation text every day. Weekly motivation every Monday. Text me at the number is in my bio, 305-384-6894. All y'all have a great weekend. We out.